Hello, my name is Edmund Martelli, and in this short instructional video, I will show you the basic procedures to house planning and how to draw a simple house. This instructional video will show 3-step phases going through that will culminate in designing the floor plan and the elevation view, which are the basic views of any house plan. I am using a CAD software, but you can also use sketch paper to accomplish the same thing. So the first step is floor planning. And in this little sheet of paper space I have drawn, I've got some basic rooms that I believe should be included in a house plan. Your house plan may be different than mine. One of the first rooms you'll always have is a kitchen. Next, bedroom, bathroom, possibly a den, some type of laundry facility, and possibly a dining room. So, you'll also see a note here that says exterior wall thickness. For vinyl siding, wall thickness on paper space should be drawn at 5 inches. For brick veneer, wall thickness should be drawn as 9 inches, and for interior wall thickness is 4.5 inches. So when you draw a house plan on a piece of paper, you have to make sure that it's scaled correctly. In other words, using a scale ruler, you should have a conversion factor. An example might be 1/4 of an inch on paper space equals 1 foot in physical space. So let's begin. Let's say you want to begin in the kitchen. So we want to draw a kitchen area. Step 1 of house drawing is the floor plan. I have some generic universal furniture to include in the house plan, the floor plan, what is known as a floor plan. When drawing a house, you have to make sure that you draw things to scale. Paper space and physical space should be scaled correctly. Typical architectural drawings are 1/4 inch on paper equals 1 foot in physical space. So, let's begin by designing a room for the kitchen. Let's say we want the kitchen to be 15 by 20. So we'll type in 15 and we'll come across 20. It is generally accepted that lines that intersect are right angles unless an angle is specified. If you have a wall that is not perpendicular to another wall to form a corner, you should specify the angle. So let's say this is going to be the kitchen. So we're going to drag the kitchen text over to there. Now let's say we want the kitchen area to lead off to a dining room. So let's copy this line here that we know is 15 foot in length to there. And this will be an interior wall. So we're going to make it 4.5 inches across in thickness. So next to the kitchen, we're going to have the dining room. So let me move the dining room text into this area. And let's say the dining room area is not quite as long as the kitchen area. So we're going to make that 15 feet. Well, let's say 10 foot. So I'll copy this line 10 foot this way. And I'll move my text back. Now, of course, we need some way to get from the kitchen into the dining room. So I will select a door. You'll see here in this window schedule or door schedule that I have some doors here. Let's pick a 32 by 80, which is a D, and here's a D door here. So we'll copy this emblem to this wall. And of course the door has to face the other way. It has to be flush with the wall. So we'll put the door there. Now that we have a dining room, let's say beyond the dining room is probably the next logical thing, a bathroom. Maybe we don't want the bathroom in a linear layout. Let's say we want the bathroom to be shared. So let's go ahead and draw a small room for the bathroom. Let's say the bathroom is 10 foot by 10 foot. So we'll open this up where we have a bathroom area. And we'll move the bathroom emblem to that living space. There's bathroom. Okay, now from all this area, we're going to want some bedrooms. We got to make sure to complete and draw these rooms as rectangles or squares. So there's the bathroom, here's the kitchen, here's the dining room. Excuse me. Let's say we need some bedrooms, and we'll continue this layout toward the right hand side of this drawing space. A bedroom could be anywhere from 12 by 12 to 20 by 20. And so let me partition the dining room here. And what I'll do is I'll begin to make some bedrooms. Let's say this bedroom here is going to be, I don't know, 12 foot. It'll be a smaller bedroom. And so we'll move a line to there. And we'll begin to close these lines in. Always make sure your lines are perpendicular. And we'll move the bedroom emblem to that living area. There we go. So there's a kitchen, a dining room, and a bedroom. Now that I have a layout of my room plans and how I want those to lay out, I will use a template that I've created to generate an orthographic projection. So this template here is kind of like graph paper. The spaces here are 12 foot, which is a standard ceiling and floor joist thickness with the finished floor. And the space between the floor joists is 8 foot, which is a standard room height. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to project these lines down, and that will give me an orthographic projection of this house. So in between these lines is where the elevation begins, and being that this is a single story, I won't need these lines. So this will be my room elevation here. And let's say we're going to put a front door leading into this house in the kitchen area. So I'll come over to my templates here and I'll pick this door here, which is a C. It's a 36 by 80 inch door. Let's try to find some place to put this. Suppose we could put it there. in the center of the house might be nice. But we can't put it in the center because there's a wall there. So let's find the center of this dining room and project that down. That is where we can put our door. So there's a front door to the house. And let's say we want a window, 2 windows in the kitchen. So what I can do is I can pick a window that I've drawn out here and say window B, which B is a 36 by 54. Let's pick one of those and let's put it on this house here. So now I can project that window to here. Now all doors and windows have the same peak line, which is 6'8" off of the finished floor line. So now I've got to pick one of those windows again, and we're going to move that to the finish line of the door window location. So right there is where this window is going to be. It's a large window, so. And let's say we want another one, but we want it in the bedroom. We would do the same thing. We would find the center line of this bedroom, and we would copy this window across to it. So there's a large window for the bedroom. And see, we're beginning to create this elevation view. So now that we've basically got our living area planned out and we've generated somewhat of a elevation plan, we need to work on the roof. Now a roof is based on a run that is always measured in 12 inches or a foot. So our roof runs 12 inches, and let's say it goes up 6 inches. So this triangle and this slope forms the slope of our roof. Now, if the house is constructed using truss work, then we can simply take this same slope and add it here. And the overhang of any roof is between 6 and 12 inches. So we'll come away from the house 12 inches, and that will be where our roof overhangs. That will be the edge of the overhang. All roof trusses or roof rafters are 2x6 construction, which a 2x6 is actually 5.5 inches. So if we offset this line 5.5 inches, we will determine our roof dimensions. And of course it's the same on the other side. We'll match the other side to this side. And from there, it forms our roof. And see, now we've got an accurate roof representation. And as you'll notice, this roof rises 6 inches and goes over 12 inches. Okay, now that we've got a front elevation and a basic floor plan, what I would like to do is create another projection of the side of the house. And to do that, I'll just pick a point in space where I want this exterior wall to be projected in the elevation view. And then I'll offset that line the same dimension as that side of the house. And then I will create a miter line. If I find the back side of the house and I extend this projection line to there, then I create a miter line. So now I know where the dimensions, the outside dimensions of the house are, and anything that I need to project from this side in the floor plan, I can project down to here on the elevation view. So let's come across with our finished ceiling. And that is the finished wall height of this projection view. And we know that the roof peaks here, so that will show up here. And it also overhangs here. So that would be our overhang where the gutters would go. So our house from this side will look like this, except we've got to have some type of eave or a lookout on this edge of the roof here, which are generally 6 inches away from the house. So we can offset a line at scale 6 inches this way and this way, and then we can create our roof. So our roof would be slightly wider than the house. So that is how our house will look from the side view. And to double check everything we've done, we can draw a line somewhere in space and offset it 1 foot, which is a floor or ceiling rafter plus a finished floor, and offset that line 8 foot, which is our room height, and offset again another 12 foot should be our finished ceiling. I'm sorry, another 12 inches, and that should be our finished ceiling. So that should be our elevation view. And if I move this from here to here, you'll see that everything matches up. Now there is one little other secret to designing a roof elevation view, is that the bottom of the finished floor should be about 14 inches from the grade line of the soil outside. So this would be our grade line. We can change that color to green, representing grade line. And the grade line should be about 8 inches below the exterior siding. So our siding will actually end here at this line, even though the top of the basement wall will begin here. Once we have our elevation view, we can copy that information into a different page and erase the plan view, and the same thing goes for the floor plan view. And we can begin to design our roof by taking a copy of the floor plan and putting it on a different page and offsetting our known distances, which on this wall, offset from this wall, will only be 6 inches because that wall contained the eave, and from this wall will be 12 inches because that's our overhang, and the rest of on the inside will get erased. So everything else on the inside would be gone. And we'll create this box, which will show our roof in aerial view. And of course we hit a gable in the center. So that gable will show up in the center here too. And in the aerial view, our roof will have one gable, the edges, which are the overhangs, and what they call a lookout or an eave on the front side. So, I hope you enjoyed this short instructional video. Remember to use lines as a guide, as a template to guide your way through and make sure that all your projections are correct. And this was a very short but concise instructional video on how to basically and simply lay out a house plan that includes the floor plan, the elevation, and the roof. Thank you for watching. From Edmund Martelli.